We are rolling, and hey, welcome to what the hell is the name of our program again? It is Streaming Graveyard, and I am I go by the Reverend Anthony Revolta, and Deborah,
I
introduce yourself.
I am Deborah, but I also go by Angelkat, and welcome to our show.
Great. We are going to take a look at Black Roses today, a
Mhm.
phenomenal piece of schlock that I think is a great example of the satanic panic of the 80s
Oh God,
and
yeah.
every parents group that my mother was probably involved in. So this is Streaming Graveyard, and we'll begin in a moment. All right. So starting off with Black Roses, to get the conversation going, Angelkat, why don't you give us the tombstone tallies, if you will? Give me a moment. We will get them up there for you.
So, first off, Black Roses is an actually early trauma film, which I found very interesting. And the tombstone tallies for this film is 13 deaths, 5 possession or mind control, which we will discuss later on the difference, 1 future soprano, 4 sets of boobs, 1 glorious mustache, 1 inappropriate student teacher relationship, 1 really good soundtrack, 0 traffic in the whole entire film, 1 hole in the ozone because of all the hairspray used for this film, too many leather jackets, and surprise sex. Yay.
Surprise sex. Okay. I thought you dropped off there for some reason, but
no,
okay.
Just surprise sex.
Great. So I wanted to point out because I was watching this with closed captions on, and
Oh, we got
I was no, because sometimes with closed captions they'll identify pieces of the soundtrack, and a lot of it is identified as Black Roses. A lot of it is Carmine Appice, who is the mustachioed drummer, who appears infrequently and who is he is famous for several 70s bands. He is also the elder of the Appice brothers, his younger brother Vinny being famous for his stint with Black Sabbath and Ronnie James Dio. But the song, Me Against the World, so it came up, and on the bottom of the screen, it goes Me Against the World by Lizzie Borden. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have some Lizzie Borden.
I caught that too. I'm like, wait, I think I know that band.
So yes, that was my first realization as I came into this. I'm like, okay, that's some Lizzie Borden right there, and that just got more fun as we went on. But continue. Do we want to bring this back up? Let's bring this back up, just so we can get a framework, if you will.
Yeah. To go back to the really good soundtrack, it's very interesting. Like a lot of horror movies are surprisingly good with when it comes to soundtracks because they're either a little heavier in rock and roll, which often correlates with or coincides with horror. A lot of times, the rock and roll, especially recently, I've been listening to Ice Nine Kills, who does a lot of music inspired by horror movies. And so I think it's really interesting. And also going back to the satanic panic stuff, a lot of music is the second it's not about, the Lord himself, it's immediately labeled as satanic. It's from all the way back to jazz music to more modern day rap and rock and roll.
I think the Rolling Stones are credited as being the first band to really lean into it. And Sympathy for the Devil is still one of my all-time favorite classic rock songs. So, that is always a winner.
Mhm.
So 13 deaths. That seems a little
Yes.
on the low side. We're going to use the tallies as a talking point just to get
Yeah.
some structure here, if you don't
Mhm.
mind. Good work with
Well,
it, by the way.
thank you very much. The reason I counted 13 deaths was because those are the ones I could actually like pinpoint. Okay, this person died, this person died, this person died. The reason I didn't do it with a few of them is because you don't see them on screen, so you don't really know 100% if they actually died or not.
Okay. No, I
And
see that.
and also, spoilers if anybody has not seen the movie yet. There is a supposed death where the lead character finally does. If we are
Yeah.
we doing spoilers?
You know what? We'll leave that one unspoiled for them. Okay.
Okay,
Like the
let's just.
character herself.
Which one?
Moving on.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, 5 possessions or mind controls. This is, like I said, this one I had a real tough time figuring out because I couldn't tell if the band was trying to possess the children and have them have a demonic possession or control them and have them as controlled of teenage warriors for him. That's
Well,
what I couldn't figure out.
you know what I was thinking, also just more on the context of the time. I don't remember there being a lot of stories of children and teenagers killing their parents, but it was sufficiently a newsworthy item that Skid Row's 18 in Life came out,
Mhm.
6 years after this or so.
Mhm.
So I was thinking of how that played into, the social relevance, but the background of the story.
Yeah.
Um, One future soprano. Is that the
Yes.
guy who gets his head smashed by a no, wait.
No.
No. He might
Yeah.
as well be, but no, that's the guy who got eaten by the speaker, right?
Yes, that is. Let me pull up my notes real quick. That is Vincent Pastor, aka who's anybody who has watched The Sopranos. It's Big Pussy, or literally that's the character's name in the show. He's
Yeah.
known as Big Pussy, but also he was in a lot of '90s and early 2000 films as, hey, we need a mobster guy. Get Vincent Pastor. Perfect. So he is in a lot of films as the character, but this is one of his very early roles
All right.
as
Go
annoying
ahead.
father. As the annoying father.
I'm going to take this off for a second because I know you did a huge fact gathering on this. So
Yes, I
let's
did.
do a fact dump, shall we?
Okay, first fact dump. This is not the first movie to be named as Black Roses. The first one was actually in 1935 and was a German historical drama.
Okay.
Yeah. It was there is two versions, an English version and a French version, filmed with a majority of the lead characters as in both films, and
So
basically, just a early World War I film.
so oddly, it is a German historical drama that has an English and a French version. Is there a German version?
I am not sure. There probably is a translated version later
Okay.
on, but
Just because I was like, okay, what else you got for me? I know
oh,
you've got more.
I got plenty. Just to let everybody know, if you do eventually want to watch this film,
Oh, you
uh,
do. You do.
you do go to
You might.
justwatch.com, sponsored, not sponsored. Uh, they let you know where you can watch films if you're looking for a particular film to watch. Right now, Black Roses is available on Peacock's, AMC Plus, Tubi, that's with ads, Shutter, Plex, Apple TV, and Troma Now, and also and like we said, available on Peacock, but it's also available to buy or rent on Apple Plus, YouTube, and I believe there's one other. I believe it's Amazon Prime.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
yeah,
I'm gonna take a quick look at some stuff I put down here.
Mhm.
So Sal Viviano, our lead
Mhm.
actor here,
Yes.
he's in a few soap operas other than this.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
There's some hair extensions at work here, because all those press photos show a nice clean cut, almost rock star who then turns into. We're not even going to talk about the demonic entity. But who
Well,
then turns into basically a guy who looks like he could be the lead singer for Lizzie Borden. Actually, infrequently, I keep thinking of Don Dokken every time he comes up on stage, or at least comes up on screen. Interesting pick. His career is not much more. I think he had one or two features before that. I believe there is a Law and Order episode.
oh,
And I think visually he's a great fit. I like him in the part. It's just he doesn't have much else to him, at least not for his career. What did you think?
well, yeah, I thought it was a good character for the actor. It's definitely a kind of slow burn. Like he doesn't really give you a lot until like it just builds up and builds up. And the costuming and the makeup department did a really good job with this film in a lot of parts, but his character especially. And he is one of those people that can pull off different hairstyles and shows all of them in this film, pretty much.
I'm sorry, did you just say pull off different hairstyles? Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Wig reveal.
And yeah, so don't mind me looking at notes. It's not
That's okay.
that big a deal. Most of it I have in what pea brain I possess. What about the teacher sweater game?
Oh my. Okay. I have notes. I have all the notes, and one of them I do actually have for that scene. I have where is it? Pulls Mr. Rogers, where he pulls off the outdoor sweater and puts on the indoor shirt. It's like,
Yeah.
what was the point? Also, Budweiser. It's I swear to God, that is the 80s movie beer. Every 80s movie that had beer in it had a Budweiser. I swear. But
Well,
yeah.
also in that same scene, he's going to select music and he apparently chooses the magic flute. But I couldn't help but start singing Falco as he's going through his tapes, going Amadeus, Amadeus. I'm like, was that on purpose? I don't know, but I was there for it.
Yeah, I did notice they were trying to make him look like the teacher that everybody liked, the handsome teacher. Of course, the girls had little crushes on him and all that stuff.
But Walt Whitman,
Yeah.
go
Hey,
for
at the time.
go for some Byron, some Coleridge. I mean, give me something. Give me something with some real rebellion and heartbreak if you're going to be the cool teacher.
Well, he didn't want to go for something that everybody went for. He went for somebody that was boring and he could make sure everybody paid attention to him. I don't know.
Understood.
I didn't pay attention to English class until they played the movies. I was not that great in English.
Okay, let's go back to the let's go back to the tombstone tallies. Make sure we've one future soprano, 4 sets of boobs.
Okay, yeah, I do have to talk about this.
Please.
Once again, I did not realize this was a trauma film and also an 80s movie directed by a man. So I wasn't paying attention. All of a sudden, there were just boobs, just boobies. And I'm like, okay, holy. And then I'm watching one scene where it's very obvious not the actress they're trying to portray it as, because you can tell by the hands, they were like older hands. And then I'm watching this woman in a very obvious cutscene that was probably filmed later on. And then I'm like, oh God, my windows are open. So I'm like immediately like pulling down the blinds, realizing there's just boobs in my lawn. But yeah, let's just say boobs are fine, boobs are great, but when you're not expecting them, they can either be even better or just surprisingly worse.
Now, I think w- how much did you look into that? Because I know it was a trauma distribution, and I noticed it as it
Yeah.
was coming up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a Lloyd Kaufman film, right? It's something they picked
Yeah.
up, like Rabid Grannies, for instance. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, if you don't know, it is another film they distribute, but they didn't make.
Yeah, it is from. This is one of the reasons why I get very confused about this. Is from the trauma distribution production,
Mhm.
which is basically like early stuff. And I do believe Toxic Avenger was released later on, so that's why I thought this was one of a trauma earlier work.
Right. And speaking of films Trauma distributed but did not make, I believe that also includes Bloodsucking Freaks, which I am informed reliably is the favorite film of the legendary Chris Jericho.
I'm surprised, but not surprised. Let's just say that.
And by the way, is that 4 sets of boobs, including the set that was obviously fake, which would
Yes.
make 5 sets, or that okay?
It is 4 sets of boobs, as in 3 separate character actresses where we can see their faces at the same times as the boobs, and then the separate scene that was shot afterwards with the booby dance in front
I
of the
have
altar with the lead singer.
I have to commend you for your dedication to boob counting. It's quite impressive.
My mother is going to be very proud of me.
Um, and that glorious mustache. That
Yes.
really is like an iconic '80s look there.
Yeah.
Mr. Walt Whitman, teacher man.
Yeah. One of the things I mentioned to you earlier is like the hair is definitely iconic for that time period. And also, it's very noticeable as they kind of use it as character development for the kids throughout the film as they get more possessed and taken over. Their hair gets bigger and more teased and a little bit more out there, opposed to when
Mhm.
they start and they're all very good kids with the French braids and the pigtails and all that stuff. And by the end of the film, it is teased to high heaven and sprayed within an inch of its life. And I'm having black flashbacks to dance class where I had to do that to my hair to make it look perfect for the stage.
Now, if I remember correctly, the technique for that,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was to literally put your head down and spray it straight up, and then brush it back.
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of girls they would add what's called crimping, which is now we use flat irons, but we had ones that were in a zigzag formation that you would do all the way your hair down your hair to get that little interesting design into it.
And I'm going to go on the record here and say, unless you're a vegan, there's no such thing as too many leather jackets. I'm sorry.
I have an explanation for this, and it was just what once again it's the uh, character progression of the kids throughout the film. It's just, well, they're all good kids in the beginning, except for that one kid who, for some odd reason, never wore a shirt with sleeves. But as the film goes on, it's just like all of a sudden, all of them have leather jackets. Just out of nowhere, they all have leather jackets. And it's like either somebody had a sale or this was hiding in the back of their closet from Halloween like a 50 years ago or something. But it's just like out of nowhere, everybody has leather jackets.
And there is a really good burn at the end of this film. Burn is in stunt work, real firework.
Oh yeah,
That would not, I don't think would have been possible without the jacket he was wearing, honestly. But
absolutely.
it's good stuff, and it's the jacket. The jacket makes it. Surprise sex.
Surprise
Okay, so we needed eventually to talk about
that.
wow. So the level of inappropriate in the modern context of Julie's relationship with Mr. Mustache.
Oh, that's what I wasn't talking about when I was talking about surprise sex.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was when I believe Johnny's the character, I believe. The one with ADHD who
Oh,
bounces around
oh,
with Julie all the
oh,
time.
oh. The set of boobs that came in through his window. Yes.
Yeah, he's on his bed smoking, then all of a sudden, boobies. You can't see the face, just boobies, and all of a sudden they're just in his bedroom.
Teenagers
Yeah.
smoking in bed in the 80s.
And also his father. Also, I have to mention the parents in this film are all like stereotypical parents that you would see in a movie. It's the father who doesn't give a shit. It's the dad who says incredibly inappropriate shit. It's the stepfather who's really creepy. It's the mom who's trying to ban everything, just save the children. You know, it's those parents. This kid's father is like, "Are you coming home? That's a nice day." And it's like not paying attention to him at all. And is not paying attention to the fact that his son is having sex in the next room. It's just not paying attention at all.
Well, you
Or
learn to
the
be
walls
quiet.
are really thick.
You learn to be quiet. So, by the way, I got to say, I didn't know demons were vulnerable to fire damage.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, anybody who has played D&D knows the fact that demons are not vulnerable to fire damage. But you know, we had that scene at Texaco or blurred out gas station.
Yes.
And to get the gas and the flamethrowers, and I'm just like, you. Of course, my D&D brain kicks in, and I'm like, that's not how you do it. You gotta get some holy water or some shit.
By the way, I've got to say also, because Julie came up, Julie and Priscilla. The scene with Julie and Priscilla in the car. You know, I watch a lot of this stuff, probably too much for my own good. She really saws into that neck. I mean, that's not just a little slice. That's some serious back and forth action.
Yeah. This is one of the few scenes that's actually acted well in the whole movie. And I'm like, there's some backstage shit that we don't know about or something going on. Because this girl is literally trying to kill Priscilla.
Well, let's face it. We know they were both actually 22-year-old actresses. So who knows?
And they tried so hard to make Priscilla look older and Julie look younger. And you're looking at them and it's like, you're sisters, aren't you? You're like almost exactly the same age. But yeah, that is the way of Hollywood. They will make 20-year-olds look younger and 30-year-olds seem like ancient history. It's the way of Hollywood.
All right. Well, what else do we have? Any more fact dumps before we sign off? Because we're starting to run a little low on time.
Yes, we are. The inappropriate relationship between the teacher. That's was mentioned in there. And yeah, it is just so bad because it's like you see it and it's like, oh yeah, this is inappropriate. But everybody acts like it's just a joke until the very end when she literally tries to assault her teacher at her home and then turn into a trauma creature and then destroy his life.
Well, I mean, you know, we didn't talk about grooming as much in the 80s. And that could very easily be the sort of thing that you might call a grooming relationship. Also, it might not have been. He was resistant. They didn't go deeply into it, but it had that potential, which was really disturbing. Or at least could be disturbing.
Okay, so the last fact I do have, Mrs. Miller is played by an actress who some people might know. Her name is Julie Adams, and you might know her from The Creature from the Black Lagoon. She was the lead actress in that film. And she was also known for doing a lot of Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock Presents at the time. And she was a hardworking actress into her 90s until she died, sadly, in 2019.
Oh, wow. So she was with us for quite some time and has probably seen this film come around many resurrections.
Yeah. In fact, her last acting credit was in 2018. So she was a workaholic, and we are sadly missing her.
That's correct. Okay, well, we're going to call it for today. The film was Black Roses. I definitely recommend checking it out. You're not going to have a cinematic masterpiece experience here. Don't expect one. But I think if you've gotten this far, you probably already know that. If you ever heard the word trauma in your life, you probably already heard that. I went to a trauma after party one day, and Lloyd Kaufman just showed up at the bar, shaking everyone's hand and thanking them for their involvement. So he really is a guy who loves what he does, and he does when he picks up films like this, it's because he believes in them and thinks there's something there, and we're going to have fun with it. So that's it for today. And because I've always wanted to say this, or because I've always wanted to do this, and this episode is possibly the most appropriate use of this sign off, remember to keep one foot in the gutter, one fist in the goal.
Amen.